Hello. Hi, everybody. This is Lise Houweling. I am here at Semiahmoo Resort Golf and Spa. And today is our Thursday seaside cooking demo with Chef Devin. And I will just sit on here for a minute. I got my gimbal working today, so that's awesome. I'm up here in Packers, and they're just working. Chris, our housekeeping manager, he is amazing. He's been redoing our floors up here, and they look so good. We can't wait for you guys to come back and see them. So welcome to our show. Just wait for a couple more people to jump on, and like I said, I've got my gimbal working. My gimbal works, it's just my ability to run it. That is a whole other thing. So Devin is making pizza for us today, and we're pairing it with, so I'll do this first. So Long Cellars. So this is a winery out of Woodinville, and this is the Cabernet. I butchered it. Carmenere. What?
Carmenere.
I don't know why words are so hard for me, but anyways, words are really hard. Carmenere. So Carmenere, and it's absolutely delicious. So red wine and pizza, you guys, it doesn't just have to always be beer. In fact, because I have digestive and acid reflux issues, I know TMI, but I don't care. I have a hard time with the beer and the tomato sauce, and it's just like almost too much yeast for me. So red wine is a really good substitute. It's a really good idea with pizza. It goes really well. So we have it here. It's delicious. He came up last summer and did one of our wine tastings that we were having in the summer. And rose champagne and pepperoni pizza, good. Say David Lennon knows. But this is really good. It's just a delicious wine. Period, but it's a little bit lighter. It has a little bit of a smokier note to it, but it's definitely will handle pepperoni pizza sauce. I don't know what kind of sauce Devin's making, but we are ready. I'm just going to take a drink because, you know, that's what I do. I just ask the questions, hold the camera, not well, but I drink really, really well. So, and Devin's, are you ready?
I am.
All right. Okay. Hi, Eddie. Okay, thanks everybody for joining us, and I am going to turn the camera over to Devin.
Well, welcome again to another cooking series here. We're at our Packers Woodstone Oven, and so we're doing. We got a request for pizza last week, so we're doing pizza this week. We will post a recipe for the pizza dough that I'm using. Quite a simple recipe. It's the one that my wife and I use quite often at home, just because it's for two. Our recipe that we use here is for a 10-pound batch, so it's probably something you're not going to be using anytime soon. So the recipe that we'll be posting is just for two shells about this size. They're about 8 to 9 ounce pizza dough balls. But we'll talk about pizza a little bit for sure. The type of pizza that we do, we use a Woodstone oven, which is a great, amazing local company, but they're actually located out by the airport right here in Bellingham. But they are world renowned for the quality of pizzas or pizza ovens, and so and all types of ovens. Wood stone to emulate the dry heat of a wood-fired oven. Spagos in Hollywood, this was the ovens that they had. Some of the most beautiful centerpiece ovens that you'll see out there are produced right here in Bellingham. They also make some wonderful other things like planchas and stuff like that have gone into all the Chipotles across the country. We were lucky enough to get a couple of those. Amazing products. What they make is just top of the line, top of the industry. So this was put in years ago when the remodel took place, and it's a wonderful showpiece and a great opportunity to work out of this. And so here we have our oven. Down here we've got it set to about 550 to close to 600 degrees. So I turn it up a little bit so that we have some flame so that you can kind of see what's going on in the oven. We adjust that temperature quite often. We have digital thermometers that we look at the deck and the roof temperature to see and make sure that we are calibrated enough and making the pizza in the right manner. The style of pizza that we make here at Packers is not necessarily the wood-fired crispy crust black on the side or black on the edges. We're somewhere in between. We like to, well, a lot of times those style pizzas don't have very many ingredients. They're made to be much lighter, much more cracker style, and pick up and accessible. We go kind of somewhere in between. We're not, a giant New York style. We're not a deep dish Chicago. We're somewhere in between that you're used to. Traditional wood fire you pick up, the pizza should not bend. It should be pretty solid. Most people don't necessarily like that style, and so ours is a little bit bigger, a little bit thicker crust, and but again made with this wonderful oven, extremely wonderful dry heat, and just produces a wonderful type of pizza. So what we're going to do is we'll go over here and start to pull the dough. The first step is to make the dough, obviously. I'll post the recipe. Recipe is pretty darn easy. 1 1/4 cup of warm water, 110 to 115 degrees, just below bath water, above body temperature, which would be, if you're touching it, would be around 90 to 100 degrees. And so you just want over body temperature, but you do not want bath water. That's way too hot. And so that'll kill the yeast. And so you start with 1 1/4 cup warm water, one active dry yeast, which is 1/4 ounce, one dry yeast packet. That goes in, and I use 1 teaspoon of honey. Put those together, wait for about 5 minutes, make sure that that yeast is active and that there's life to it, you'll get some foam. And then I pour in 4 cups of flour, a very high protein. So you're looking for either a specific pizza flour, a double O flour, a bread flour, something with very high protein. That's kind of the most important part, because what you're looking for is high gluten, high protein, stretch and elasticity. A lot of other recipes and things like that, you're trying to not make gluten. Brisée dough, the pastry that I use for the tart, shortbread cookies, those other things, you do not want to develop gluten, so you work at the least amount as possible. This you want to develop gluten, so when you need it quite heavily. So after we've got the yeast and water and honey working, we add our 4 cups of sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1 tablespoon of olive oil, and then I mix it together with a wooden spoon, and then either you can use a stand-up mixer with a dough hook, or you can use you can put it on the counter and knead it yourself. What you want is a smooth, elastic dough that somewhere between silly putty and a really strong bread dough. What you want is something that you press into and bounces back, but not right away. You make a depression, it takes a little time. So that you're looking for something kind of different and a little bit thicker and a little bit heavier than your traditional bread. And when you do leavening of bread, which I'm sure a lot of you are, and working with sourdough starters and things like that at home, what you're looking for is high hydration of this either high protein or high quality flour, and then you're also looking for the how much time and how much proofing goes into it. So you'll want to proof several times when you're making other breads. These we can proof in 1.5 hours, and then we make a pizza within 2 hours. Or you can put it in the refrigerator, proof it overnight, 12 hours later, and still be able to use it.
That's a great idea too, right?
Yeah.
So that you don't have to...
What we typically do is we make a batch, and then, at least at home what I do is I make a batch, and then we'll make a pizza with one, and then we'll freeze that other dough, and then we'll pull it out, let it come to temperature, and let it almost kind of quarter proof. You don't really want it to proof again totally, but you want to make sure the yeast is still active, let it proof again, and then you can go at it. So it's wonderful. So we're going to walk over here and grab one of our doughs. So here is one of our...
Are you going to work it over there?
That's right. So here's our one of our dough balls, nice and lightly proofed, and I toss it in a small amount of semolina, and we're going to make 2 different types of pizzas here. So I'm going to start with one dough ball here. I'll be right back.
I have to support my arms. This gimbal is heavy.
Do you want to readjust it?
Yeah, I got to readjust it. I have to remember it's the opposite.
So,
what I'm looking
here
at.
I've got our 2 dough balls here, and one of the ways that I learned to pull pizza dough is from the center first. So you don't want to press and get rid of it, you want to pull. And so it's not about pressing down, it's about pulling out. And so from here, I just start with the middle and I lightly press out. Now the next biggest step is to develop a good cornichon. And the cornichon is the outside, basically the crust. But you want to develop something that is nice and even along here. It holds the ingredients in. Some people love the crust. I know my dogs love the crust. So it depends on what you like and how big of the cornichon and the crust you want. I like a nice, decent size cornichon. So from here, I just let gravity kind of work. We're use my hands and let it fall. Again, trying to hold up. Never trying to push my fingernails through, never trying to push a single finger through because you want to use your whole palm or the whole tips of your hand. You don't want to allow it for one finger or anything to kind of push through. If it's proofed and tempered right, this is honestly all you need to do. Once, twice like this. And again, you can kind of see the nice opaque kind of see-through here on the pizza crust. And so any thinner than that, I would be a little bit worried. It'll start to break.
It'll go back together a little bit as you're cooking it, right?
It will, and actually this will puff up and it'll sear really quickly. I mean, we're dropping it on a nearly 600 degree oven stone flat floor. So immediately, even if this is a little bit sticky, so it's a little thin, a little sticky, a very small amount of semolina just sprinkled right under there. Before I build the pizza, we have our wonderful paddles that we use. I give it a shake to make sure it's loose. I'm going to do that again before I even try to add ingredients. And while I'm adding ingredients, I'll be tapping it to make sure it's moving. If at any point it isn't moving and starts to stick, then you want to address that right away. Otherwise, you're going to have a real serious problems in the oven. All right, so we're going to make two types. So I got our one dough made. Same thing, same process. I start at the middle, work my way out, and then eventually between my thumb and four fingers, I will make a bit of a cornichon, that nice light. And so again, I'm letting gravity kind of do the work, take a look around, and then I'll use my thumbs to kind of press out any spots. Right here, what I'm doing with the palms of my hand is I'm looking for anything that's thicker. And so if it's thick, then I press out. If it's thin, I move on. Thick, thick. Starting to feel a little thinness there, so I'll just keep moving. These are about 11 to 12 inch pie crust, so we call them pies still. But here we go.
Hi, Marianne. Thanks for joining us.
And again, because I don't want it to stick to the deck, just a sprinkle of semolina. It helps kind of release it, and the semolina will bake right in and actually kind of add a little bit of a cornmeal kind of crunch to it. So we'll move down.
Joan is asking if we could use almond flour.
You can, but it will not develop gluten, period. It will not develop any kind of elasticity. And so when we use gluten-free or any kind of almond flour, we use cup for cup, which is scientifically developed Thomas Keller from French Laundry. About 10 years to develop with his pastry experts, and obviously a lot more money and a lot of time and effort that went into that. Cup for cup is an amazing product.
It's an amazing product,
It, again, will not leaven. It will not rise and will not develop the same as protein. And so almond flour is wonderful. Other cauliflower, I've used cauliflower before too. Those I suggest rolling out like you would a pie crust or something else. And so that's going to be working it out because, again, you don't have the glutens, the elasticity. You're not going to be able to pull it like that. And it's a wonderful alternative for sure for gluten-free.
And then you'd want to put that on some kind of a pan. You wouldn't want that.
And so what we typically do is we have little round pans that we use for our gluten-free dough, and so we fire it on that. Benefit of that too is that it's not sitting on the deck where there's a bunch of gluten. So, but I do need to get back to building these pizzas. If they sit too long in these paddles, then they won't move. So.
Yeah.
Keep asking questions.
Yeah, Marianne, you did miss the making of the dough, but he had pre-made the dough earlier, but the recipe will be on the Facebook link. We'll make sure we'll post that recipe either later today or tomorrow, okay?
All right, so here we got our two pizzas. One of them, I'm gonna make a traditional red. So we'll get that started first, and we'll actually get this cooking so we can kind of talk about it. So this is basically a 4-ounce scoop. So we got about 4 ounces of tomato sauce here. Now we use San Marzano whole peeled tomatoes, the best quality Italian style San Marzano tomatoes that we can get. We drain a little bit of the water off of them, puree them. That's it. That's all our pizza sauce is. No salt, no pepper, no garlic, no oregano, nothing. The simplest, the best as possible, because it allows you to focus on the ingredients as well as the cheese. And we use great, wonderful quality cheese and great, wonderful ingredients. You don't want to use low quality anywhere at this point. So we've got our tomato sauce base. Now, for a normal tomato sauce based pizza, what I like to do, and so this is going to be mozzarella based, but I like to use a little fresh Parmesan, crumbled or grated Parmesan. I use this as salt. So there's very little salt. Like I said, there's no salt in the tomato sauce. This is the saltiest thing that I use to kind of set this off. Now, this pizza is actually going to be with several types of salami, so I don't want to use too much because there is going to be some salt that's added to this. But this is like, I use this like my salt line, very small amount. Now, that's Parmesan Reggiano. Can't buy anything like it in the States, so we get this from Italy. But here we have wonderful, amazing fontina and mozzarella blend, and we get this directly from Ferndale Farmsteads, which is just an amazing, wonderful company here in Ferndale. They do fresh mozzarella, so their Fior di Latte is on our margherita pizza. I'll be using that for the next pizza as well. Yeah, wonderful Italian-style cheeses, just fantastic. So here we got our...
when I had my cheese shop, I used a lot of Asiago in pizza too. So Asiago is like a young Parmesan Reggiano. So we called it the baby Reggiano. So if you can't find a really good quality, you know, the actual Parmesan Reggiano. So that's the same with like Champagne. If it's not from Champagne, it can't be called Champagne. That's the same with Parmesan Reggiano. If it's not called Parmesan Reggiano, it only can be called that if it's from that region.
Yep.
But Asiago,
Emilia Romagna, the same place that you would get real traditional balsamic, which will that'll go on one of the last pizzas. But yeah, it's an absolutely, you have to have that denotion, otherwise it is not the same quality. The Grana Padano, all those are just from a different area, so they cannot be called, and they are sometimes aged differently. But Parmesan Reggiano comes from very specific cows from Modena, period.
I remember cutting into a wheel because I had big, huge wheels at my cheese shop, and I cut into one, and it had purple and pink hues. It was gorgeous, and the salt rennets in it was amazing.
Yeah.
So if you haven't had like true, real Parmesan Reggiano, you're missing out.
Oh, absolutely. Nutty. The other thing is after touring a factory there and seeing the Parmesan Reggiano, what was after, and this was actually...
Sorry, I lost my...
This was actually after the big earthquake that they had there, and seeing what the precautions and everything like that they did and they took to try to handle all the excess Parmesan. They have so many different types, different years, but then also there's the Vacca Rossa, which is the red cow, and that is phenomenal. So if you have the opportunity to try the Vacca Rossa Parmesan Reggiano, amazing. And you get in different ages of that as well. So here we are, very simple. We have our, actually this is some of the mole salami and traditional salumi salami. Last thing I'm gonna add is a little bit of Mama Lil's peppers, one of my favorite peppers, marinated in olive oil, and these are mild peppers, so they're not too hot, but they do have a little kick to them. And so those are gonna go on our salami and pepper pizza. And we're going to get this in the oven so that we can look and talk about something while I'm making the last pizza. All right, and then we can also watch this one cook a little bit. So
okay.
Here we go.
I lost my balance on my.
So here's our Seattle salumi salami and Mama Lil pepper pizza with Ferndale Farmstead cheese and Parmesan Reggiano and crushed San Marzano tomatoes. Here we go.
Perfect. I'm going to take this opportunity to recalibrate my phone. I can't rotate it. Oh my gosh, you guys. I suck at all things technical. Oh, maybe I got it again. Nope, I lost it. I'm just going to take it right out of the gimbal. Okay, that's better. There we go.
All right, so what we got here, I'm building a quattro formaggio, 4-cheese pizza. So I've got a little bit of our Parmesan. I've got our mozzarella. Now this is some Samish Bay extra sharp Gouda that's going on here. And then the last but not least is one of our wonderful local partners, Twin Sisters Watkin Blue Cheese. Nice little amount of this on it, and then we will have our 4 cheese Quattro Formaggio. Very traditional. The idea behind the Quattro Formaggio is not only a nice light crisp pizza, no tomato sauce, just a small amount of olive oil on the base, and then after that it's just a cheese pizza. But no tomato sauce, nothing else on it. It's a very light pizza. But what it does give you, I'm going to go super close. No, you're good. What it does give you is the opportunity to add stuff. And so at the end, like, it's a wonderful, wonderful flavored pizza. But one of my favorite things to add is obviously balsamic vinegar and truffle. So we'll add that at the end. So here we go. Again, I'm going to give it a little shake so that I make sure that it comes off the paddle when I go in the oven. And again, when I learned from a wonderful pizzola that trained me down in California on a wonderful, amazing wood-stone oven, or wood-fired oven, he always said that there was 3 types of people that make pizza. There are placers, throwers, and droppers. And so when you drop the pizza, you drop it down from a level. When you throw the pizza, you put it in moving too fast. When you place it, you put it in the exact spot you want, and the pizza just falls. And so you got to make sure that you have a little bit of a movement here, and it's a quick, get it started, and then it's off. And that's what you want, because again, if you notice, there's quite a bit of semolina, and all that semolina came off with my pull. To get that semolina out of there, now we have no burnt pieces on there. So another thing that we traditionally do in the woodstone oven, you can take a look here, our pizza's starting to bubble, but what we want is we want even cooking. So when I rotate this pizza, I'm going to rotate it in the exact spot that it's sitting. I'm not going to move it anywhere. If I move it, then I'm going to burn part of it, whatever doesn't sit, because this pizza has already dropped the temperature of the deck here. So grab it. I'm going to do just a nice 180 turn. Get it right back in the middle there, and we can see the brown has started. Now the hottest part of this oven is the back and the sides. So this was on the other side there browning nicely. And so once this gets to that point, we'll be able to pull it. And we're getting very close. The other spot
my fingernails are getting hot.
Another spot that we like to check is to make sure that we're not burning underneath the pizza. So every once in a while, I'll give it a lift. Now, once I lifted it this way, if you can tell, if you can look in here, once I lifted the pizza and I saw nearly half of it pick up with just one side, I pick up that pizza and the whole half of the pizza lifts, it's done. There we are. Nice and lightly browned on the sides. A decent thickness. I know this crust is cooked all the way through, but it is not dark and overcooked. So I'm going to leave this here. Actually, and sometimes we do this to finish it. So this is the lightest side that I have. Before I pull it off, I'm going to leave the light side right in there because I'm finishing this pizza. And say these both were ordered at the same time, they're going to come out of the oven at the same time. And so I'm going to leave this one warm. We're going to cut it, and they're going to be produced, and they're going to go out to the table and anywhere it needs to go right at the same time, perfect same freshness. So over here, we're looking at our Quattro Formaggio. 4 cheese, again, just 4 cheeses at this point, and a small amount of olive oil. Again, very salty cheeses and a lot of other stuff in there. And we're going to finish it with wonderful flavored product, so we don't have to season it at all. So again,
the only seasoning is wine.
Exactly.
Oh, this is going to go fantastic with that red wine as well.
So here we are, wonderful color on that. Again, I'm not finished as appropriately as I'd like. So here we've got browning on top, starting to get there. This is a wonderful color. So what I'm going to do to try to get color similar to that and get a little bit more brown on top is a technique that I've used in the past, which is, it can be very tricky, but it's one of the benefits of using a wood-fired oven is that or a wood stone and a gas-fired oven like this, is that the ceiling is really hot. And so if I'm looking to get more color on this pizza, I'm going to go up here, hold it up in the dome. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. comes out.
Look at that. It's like caramelized.
And I got that color that I didn't have before. So right there, it does not take long, a small lift, and we got that color. All right, so out of the oven, we've got our salami, Mama Lil's peppers. Over here, we have our quattro formaggio. Now, for our quattro formaggio, to finish it off the best, we're going to use some Caselli aceite balsamico. So this is actually from my wife and I's favorite place that we've been to a couple times in Modena. Like I said, if you ever make it out to Caselli's, then say hi to Ludo for us, that wonderful little dog. So this is going to go on.
Oh, that looks so good. See how thick that is? That's true.
Barely comes out.
True aged balsamic.
And then we have some nice black truffles shaved over it. I like truffles, so they're going to be a lot.
And the truffles and the red wine is going to be amazing as well.
There we go. And there we have a quattro formaggio with aceite balsamico, fresh truffles, a tomato based with salami, Mama Lil's peppers, and Ferndale Farmstead mozzarella, and Parmesan Reggiano. And this one had, as far as the cheeses, this had Sandwich Bay extra sharp Gouda, as well as the Ferndale Farmstead mozzarella, Parmesan Reggiano, and Watcom blue cheese. So there you go. Thank you for joining us. Again, keep posted. We ask any questions, I'll get around to answering them. And then we will post the pizza dough recipe on the website as well. So thanks for joining.
Thanks, Devin. And then don't forget, the wine that we had today was Long Cellars. So shout out to Long Cellars in Woodinville. Delicious. Pair your pizza with some red wine, especially a cheese with truffle and balsamic vinegar with red wine. It's gonna blow your mind. It's gonna be so good. Are these gonna be on the menu starting June 5th? Not.
Yeah, actually.
Oh, they are.
So
yes.
Mama Lil's, the salami and Mama Lil's peppers are going to be an addition that you can add to any pizza that we have. And then we won't. Black truffles are seasonal, so I had to pull these out of the freezer. But the balsamic vinegar, we don't use this on our traditional. We have other balsamic reductions that we use. We use that on our fig and blue. And
otherwise,
like
you'd be paying a lot of money for your pizza.
Yeah, I mean, roughly that amount of those type of truffles would have been probably about $5 maybe. But getting white truffles, that amount would have been easily 10 to 15. So it kind of depends. But the quattro formaggio is on our menu, has always been. And we obviously, one of our biggest sellers is pepperoni. And so we just sometimes sub out the wonderful salami for pepperoni and do, they have lamb salami, they have the mole, they have so many different fennel, so many different wonderful types that's what we put on there. And then the Mama Lil's, as well as Calabrian chilies, as well as Castelvetrano olives, will be additions to our traditional pizzas that you can add. So you can add that to your quattro formaggio, or you can add that to a traditional cheese pizza. So.
Yeah. Right. So a reminder that Packers is opening up June 5th. It will be open on the weekends only, starting June 5th. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday nights. Friday and Saturday will be from 4 till 9, and Sundays will be 4 till 8, and it will be pick up, takeout only at this time. So we're so excited. Can't wait to see you. Hi, Sash. Miss you guys. We miss all of our work family, and I mean all the time. My family's in Canada, a lot of them, and I can't cross the border. But so missing everybody. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for watching.
Make sure you share it with all your friends, and make sure you like our page. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.
Cheers.